Hey everyone, I want to talk about what it felt like to be stuck with OCD 24/7, how that felt like waking up in the morning, moving throughout my day, why the typical stuff, traditional insights just didn't cut it for me, and where I am today in the sense of a recovered state, and why recovery isn't this blissful state of mind where you never have hardships. I mean, if you're moving towards anything in life, if that's a goal in your career or trying to build your relationship with your wife after the relationship has been really battered down by OCD, there's going to be a lot of uncomfortable things to happen with that. Take when I'm hiking or something in a cold day and really cold temperatures and rough terrain. Your body feels pain. It feels discomfort. You have knee pain or ankle pain or headaches from the altitude problems, right? Because I live at 7,000 feet. So no, it's not this state of where you don't have any hardships anymore. You don't feel a certain way. So before I go any further, please subscribe. Hit that like button down below. Let me know what you think about this. And please reach out if you're suffering. You do not have to suffer in silence. We can help you on direct one-to-one coaching calls. We take very thorough notes. We give very specific homework assignments to the individual. We talk about why some of the old traditional stuff still has a place, like thoughts or thoughts has applicability with learning to leave. It's not just thoughts, but it's also images, sensation, urges. But just telling someone to have thoughts float like a cloud isn't any sort of deep insight and really won't cut it for people like us who are stuck 24/7 from the moment they open their eyes to the moment they go to sleep. So, and remember to get in touch with us. It's phil@ocdrecovery.com, phil@ocdrecovery.com. And then you can learn about the coaching calls and the webinars. And those webinars are a lot of fun. They're getting bigger. 100 people. The last couple ones are great. So when I would wake up in the morning, if I slept at all, at the time, the thing that kept me stuck for the first 24 months or longer was extreme sensory motor. Saliva and swallowing was primarily the big one, but I also had blinking. I also had lots of IBS problems and stomach hyperawareness. I had DPDR, depersonalization, derealization, living in this chronic state of stress for so long. Physical symptoms of anxiety very much hindered me, more so than probably most, because I was just very stubborn in the sense of not wanting to talk about it, suffering in silence, and I didn't want to take medications. Medications, although I didn't take them, there's pros and cons to everything in this life, no matter what it is. The cons for me not taking medications is I suffered a lot more because I didn't have anything to take the edge off. The pros were that maybe it made me a little bit better with acceptance because I got the full brunt of my physical symptoms. But that doesn't mean taking medications is a sign of weakness. This is a very difficult disorder. Rob says, you wouldn't tell someone that they're weak for not taking their asthma medication, or you wouldn't tell someone that they're weak for not getting glasses because their vision's going. So I didn't sleep, but let's say when I opened my eyes to get out of bed, which was very late in the day, a lot of times I'd sleep till 1 or 2. So I would instantaneously be either stuck in like the shudders. So boom, boom, boom. And like I had so much head tension from it. Or it would feel like I was swallowing a golf ball and that there was 2 Capri Suns or a garden hose underneath my tongue all day long. So I was talking to people and it felt like that in my mind. And then I would get reassurance from my wife and say, does my speech sound different and this and that? And she'd say, no, and this is what's so hard for OCD sufferers to not understand. I was working with someone with severe health OCD. They're probably going to watch this video and laugh. And they were on the treadmill at the physical therapy physio's office because they were so convinced they were swaying when they were walking. And he was subtly asking for reassurance from the physio. The physio said, your gait's amazing. You're walking great. And he said, are you sure? Like, I'm really swaying. So it's going to feel as real as it can get. You're not going to be able to use that self-reassurance. You will have to accept your worst case scenario in that person, that even if they did have a severe neurodegenerative disorder, it still wouldn't be the end of the world because we all die anyway and life isn't fair. So you can get there. So, and then I would have I think I lived with like a pit of anxiety in this box. It wasn't so much here, more so like right in here. And that was deep inside me for 3 to 4 years of basically every second of the day with very minimal relief. With the DPDR, I had extreme irritability. My neck muscles and my traps were so damn tight because I was so stressed all the time. My memory was shit. I couldn't remember anything. I was not so much afraid of not remembering things, but I had to get comfortable with all of that being there as I built my life. Because then what people do is they ask me, well, how do I get comfortable with those sensations? And I ask them, well, what does your life structure look like? Are you going for walks? Are you brushing your teeth? Are you going to work? And then understandably so, I'm met with, why does that matter? Why do you care so much about my life structure? And I say, well, if you're learning how to wear a symptom, you have to, when we say wear anxiety like an uncomfortable coat, we don't say lay in bed like an uncomfortable coat. We say wear it like an uncomfortable coat, which means wear it out into the world. Work, gym, dates, sex, anniversary, children, having kids. If you already have kids, their baseball games, sporting events, going to just anything, going to a bar, having a beer, all the places, traveling. So you do have to wear that like an uncomfortable coat. And I had to bring all those symptoms with me. Thankfully for myself, I never viewed anything as being ruined. So if I went somewhere and I was really anxious or my sensory motor was really bad, I didn't view that as it being ruined, as in it's very easy to do. And as I was reading the books on the reading list, as I was breaking down my fears on paper, which I have my old notebook on upstairs. Every once in a while, I like to show my old disputes. I found one of the books that was like this big with all the disputes from 2020, right when I put my video games away and everything like that. So I would say I didn't feel any sense of embodiment or freedom for a long time. Even after all the books were read, even after I had done all the exercises in the book. Hey, Daisy. She's going to sit right here now while I make the rest of this video. So I had to keep up with blind faith, and I had to really push myself, even when I felt like I wanted to give up. But I knew deep down that having OCD still wasn't the end of the world, because, you know, at that point, my father died of pancreatic cancer, and I saw how bad that was, and I said, oh, my OCD suffering isn't as bad as that. And I understand where people say you're being trivial about what we're going through. There's no way I'm being trivial. What we go through is extremely difficult. One of the toughest mental health disorders on earth without it being treated. People talk about fears of schizophrenia because the fear of losing control. OCD is no easier than schizophrenia in its own way. I mean, struggling with OCD from the moment you open your eyes to the moment you go to sleep without any tools or principles is extremely distressing. That's why the World Health Organization until 2003 rated OCD as the top 6 worst conditions to have on earth. They didn't do that for no reason. I always say that in the webinars. They didn't put, just throw OCD in there. I mean, they have plenty of evidence to say this is one of the worst conditions, top 6. But it is when it's untreated. But now that we have so many tools and changing beliefs and exposures when needed, time and patience, breaking down belief systems, so we understand what works. And the amount of relapses and backdoor spikes I had were no different than any of you. I would have moments where I wanted to kill myself and not want to be here anymore. But I had to continue pushing through. I had to read the books no matter how distracted I was, no matter how much I was caught up in my head, no matter how tired I was. I made a YouTube video yesterday, and I'm still feeling a little bit of the residual effects now, but I basically got an hour to maybe an hour and a half sleep in 40 hours because I went out late at night and I took a bunch of caffeine when we went to the gym late, which I don't usually do. Then I was up all night, so I went to the gym again at 3 in the morning because I couldn't sleep. And then I was up all day yesterday working. So I'm still feeling a little bit of the residuals today because I only slept 6 hours and 45 minutes last night. I'm going to try and get 8 hours tonight, but let's be real, it ain't going to happen. So it never does. Every time I'm like, I'm going to be in bed by 9 o'clock and be up at 5. It's like 9:45 by the time I even get into bed. But that's okay. So it might take me a couple days. So I had to do all the things, even when I'm feeling the way I'm feeling right now. And that's what it felt like for a very, very long time for me. My OCD became severely chronic in 2019 in June, so about 5 years ago. And I would say it was quite chronic for the next 2 years. And I had read all the books by early 2020. And I still felt pretty shit for the rest of 2020 and the majority of 2021. But I had a lot of good memories in 2021 of it not being as severe. But it still was severe. So when you're thinking about giving up, please don't. Because if you give up, it's a binary option. You either suffer and work on it with the possibility of getting better, or you don't work on it and you definitely suffer. So it's really one of those two things. You don't really have a choice. So in that sense, both options require suffering, but at least one of them will give you the opportunity to get better. And that's what it felt like. I lived in that constant state of flight or flight for so long, and I would get so many well-intentioned individuals. I went to so many different coaches and therapists in person with the mental hospital, but no one had ever told me about my belief. No one ever told me that the number one reason why you're stuck is if I know this XYZ, if I am XYZ person, if I'm overweight, if I'm ugly, my life is ruined and I can't stand that. So thank you so much for watching. Please don't give up. We all know what it feels like to be stuck in the bottom. And those are only some of my symptoms. I mean, I couldn't keep, this is a reality, right? No one wants to talk about this on camera. Couldn't keep an erection for like a year because I was so fucking anxious. So my sex life was all sorts of messed up. Then I had all the porn addiction problems and all that, which I work with this every day. The irritability, the road rage. Why can't I control myself? Why am I so irritable? The blurry vision. The constant being gassy. I would literally pass gas every 16 seconds because my stomach was so jacked up, and I was afraid of passing gas with embarrassment. I had constant diarrhea. I don't think I had a solid stool for 3 years because I was just so jacked up with all these symptoms. I was food avoidance. I mean, it was a mess. So you can get better. I have none of those symptoms. I mean, besides the stuff you would have from just, you go out and eat too much buffalo pizza, your stomach's probably not going to be okay. But I'm not afraid of any of those symptoms anymore. They don't come in a chronic state. So you can get better. We can help you. Phil at OCDrecovery.com. We will be here waiting. Please don't be afraid to reach out and hope to hear from you soon. Have a good one, everyone.